and expanding over lands that are cheaper than La Paz, especially in Alto. So what are the implications for urban development in Puerto Rico? I need to talk about this because this is a project that we're doing in our lab. We're tracking areas of deforestation and reforestation for Latin America, and it's clear that in the Andean regions there are hotspots of reforestation. And these hotspots have been related to this rural migration processes undergoing in Latin America. We had that in Puerto Rico a while ago, where people migrated from the rural areas to urban areas, and we are seeing the regrowth of the forest. So there are many other areas in Latin America where that is happening. And a close example of that, it's this project conducted by a friend of mine in my lab also, when she found woody recovery in some specific areas in Colombia, and she could relate this forest recovery with the presence of paramilitary and guerrilla. So a lot of people being displaced by these social conflicts in the rural areas are making the forest grow back in this area. My dissertation topic is about gold mining, so this is changing a little bit because now guerrilla and paramilitary are engaging in gold mining activities, so there is deforestation hotspots in this region because of a different process. So some concluding remarks. Urban growth occurred largely along the periphery of cities, influenced by immigration, landscape characteristics, and housing prices in these main cities. Much of this urban expansion is occurring over vulnerable areas such as mangrove foothills or fertile agricultural land. We compared the density of these cities with densities of cities worldwide, and we found that Colombia has one of the cities in Colombia resulted among the highest in the world. So that's something that we didn't know before. And also this study validates the use of different sources like Google Earth, census, nighttime lights to study very interesting processes such as the urbanization of Latin America. So I would like to acknowledge the NSF IGERD and the NSF GRFP, and we have published these results, so if you're interested, you can send me an email, contact me, and I'll be happy to share it with you. Any doubts, questions?
I was interested in the different slopes of regressions between urbanization and light intensity, and it looked like the poorer countries had steeper slopes. So did you test anything about income per capita versus light intensity?
You mean the first one I showed you, or the one for?
There was one from another study you showed that showed various Latin American countries, with Venezuela as an outlier.
Okay, yes.
And it looked like your subset of 4 countries showed that same.
No, that was very interesting, actually. You're saying this one.
Yeah. So
yeah. In this one, yeah, the low income cities are supposed to have the smaller nighttime lights area, and the high income cities are supposed to be, the area is supposed to be larger. In our countries, it was the opposite. The high income countries, like Colombia, their urban area was smaller than, for example, Bolivia, where we have urban expansion faster and the cities spreading out. So
this is just showing that there's the shift in how intense the light is. And Venezuela's got the different slope for some reason.
yes.
But then if you go to your 4 countries, didn't they have slightly different slopes? It wasn't just a array or shift.
Yeah, no, it was not. It was not so organized. It was, let me show it to you. yeah, it was not that organized, but we saw some of the patterns. Like for example, Peru cities are more seaside. Colombia, especially Colombia, it's the cities have a smaller urban area. I think Peru is in between the two. Yeah, it was not clear. It was not as clear, and we didn't do any statistical test of income versus lights.
Did you consider, thank you very much, by the way.
Okay.
Did you consider policy implications, or not implications, the way that a country's urban policy may be affecting densification, the occupation of marshland or agricultural lands? I'm thinking, for example, of Peru during the military dictatorship in the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s, when it actually went about tracing sort of the shantytown areas, tracing them, making sure that they would have the provisions of, electricity and water and so on. And in other words, it went about truly making that part of the city integral to Lima and raising the quality of life there. That kind of policy would seem to be conducive to more density and perhaps more integral growth overall than another country, let's say Bolivia, just to give it this kind of outlier character, where it might not be quite the same.
Yes, I did look to what have been the historical patterns of urbanization in these countries. And in Peru, you have the period of formalidad. I don't remember. I have it written down, and also just by being in Peru a lot, I know that they give electricity to people right away. So maybe it's one of the countries that really take care of the early development. For example, in the Peruvian Amazon right now, we're seeing shanty towns, and they don't have any concrete, or their houses are falling apart, but they have a post of electricity. In terms of, I didn't look at specific policies in the nighttime lights area, but I can say that, for example, in Colombia, we did see for some of these cities that the policies of densification are really making the cities dense. For example, in Cali and Medellin. But it will be interesting to look a little bit further into those policies and how they signals, you can see the signals in the nighttime light.
Environmentalists will take this information and use it some way, or wondering what happens next.
I think there is a lot to do. I think validating that you can use these images, it's a good step because it's the first time that it's being done. So I'm hoping other people say, oh, yeah, I can use this type of data to analyze what's going on in these cities. In our lab, there's a student who's going to be looking at more closely at what are the other land cover classes that are being replaced by cities. For example, the mangroves or agricultural lands, how much agricultural lands are we losing because of urban expansion. And I think that I would like to share the delineation of the metropolitan areas of these cities, because that's not, it was not available when we did this research. And also understanding more than an administrative boundary, where is the built up area in these cities could be good for planners and local government. And also this is happening very fast, and a lot of people come to the cities and settled very unorganized. So if you have a big scale look of what's happening, maybe that can help organize future urban growth in these cities. Yeah, but I need to share this information with key people in these countries. I haven't done that.
Life system is capable of telling the difference between vertical growth in urban settings versus horizontal growth?
Not with this
Compared
image.
to New York or Los Angeles?
Not in these images. There is a limitation right now in the use of these images that we hopefully we're seeing some changes to change that, and it's that when you reach a threshold, there you cannot see more of the changes in light. So I'm assuming that once your city is quite densified, if there's an increase in light in these cities, you're not going to be able to see them using these images. But the urban community, urban research community is pushing NOAA to fix that and make these sensors a little bit more sensitive, because now they're looking at this as a very powerful tool to study urban expansion. Sorry, Micaela, you had a question?
It was about the saturation.
Ah.
I interpret what you said is that despite peace and at least less wars in these countries, people are still leaving the rural areas into the urban areas. As the government, for example, in Peru, it's become a lot more peaceful now. Have they made any attempt to bring people back to the country?
I don't think so. What do you think, Lisa?
That's what I'm aware of.
No. It's a tendency in Latin America, people move to cities. And in the Amazon where we work, the Amazon is urbanized. It's amazing the amount of people living in cities. It's
So
concentrating people here and then forest there.
So peace has given no plus dividend in this area?
I don't know. Well, it's slowing the amount of people moving to cities in Peru and Colombia, because there's a slow in the rural urban migration tendency, but it's still happening, and it's the tendency in these countries in Latin America. People would like to they leave their rural areas very young, and they go to school in the urban areas, and they develop their life in the urban areas. And that's the tendency. And yeah, it's slower, but continues to be a strong tendency.
You know, with anyone, I get this is a bit fanciful, but maybe it would need a different kind of data. But looking at within a city, wealth versus light, I'm just thinking like in the favelas in Rio or Sao Paulo, they have a different light signature than the wealthy place.
Yeah, nighttime lights, it's amazing. People are using it for many, many things. And one is economic activity. You can see signals of economic activity, nighttime lights, poverty, nighttime lights, CO2, fires, you name it. I'm thinking of doing it with mining, because you can see the production of mine production. Some of them have more light than others, so maybe there's something to look into it. So it's I think it's very beautiful to work with these images. It's a lot of things you can do, and a lot of things to explore, and they look beautiful when you look at them.
Something I thought of, I don't know if anyone else shares this reflection, but in Madison, the wealthiest neighborhoods are the darkest at night. Highlands and Shorewood, it's remarkable when I enter them how much darker it is than my neighborhood. I guess it's sort of
From the satellite?
I don't know from the satellite, just from walking or driving. have the affluence to be able to have low light.
That's true of Chicago, Chicago.
Yeah. So I wonder, like, at what stage Quito or Lima would start to have darkening, where people have security and.
The difference between suburban versus urban, because in an urban center you have light, because you have businesses, you have, because in suburban you only have residential area.
You're right, it would probably be a within suburban
Right.
comparison.
Something that I would like to do is use images with higher resolution, because this is 1 kilometer per 1 kilometer. It would be interesting to see what's going on with images that are 30 meters per 30 meters. I'm assuming that these type of patterns can be detected in one neighborhood.
Yeah, very interesting work. Thank you. This is great. Yeah, I have several questions, but I don't know if you have a sense of which of these countries, how are they in terms of the generation of electricity? Have they self-sufficient, they're importing energy from somewhere else? Are they using mostly hydro, or
Hydro.
hydro mostly?
Yes, it's mostly hydro.
Yeah, yeah. So they have enough like to keep on supplying electricity, and you show figures that they're pretty high.
They're pretty high.
Electrification of their
Electrification.
territory.
Something I didn't look at and think it's important is how bright the lights are in the different countries. Like Peru versus Bolivia, like their bulb or whatever they use to illuminate the street. I feel confident that we're looking at that we're having nice results for the general patterns, because we validated the nighttime lights with the urban population. But those subtleties of like how bright is this city versus the other one, that's I think that I other people to do.
How would you know if the light is coming from a mining operation?
How do I know?
Yeah.
I just do observation. For example, I was looking at the Department of Madre de Dios, and there were cities in nowhere, and I know that region,
Okay,
so I
just
can.
correlating that
So
with-
there's an illegal mining operation here probably, or maybe legal, I don't know. But these mining operations are they work 20 hours a day, so you have light overnight. These mining operations. When you have a lot of balsas working, you can see that. There was someone in the back. Uh-huh.
Yeah, you mentioned development in marshes and mangrove, and I was wondering if you or your associates or anyone you know were looking at water quality, cost of potable water, the areas where marshes are lost, and filtration is lost, and flooding, and mangroves in terms of protection from storm surge, as well as the effect on fisheries.
No, in our lab, we're not looking at that.
I didn't,
If I know of someone, at this big scale, I think there's a group of people in the University of McGill looking at water, land use changes and water scarcity. And I can find that information from you. It's Naveen Ramankutis and his partner, Naveen Ramankuti, he was a student here in UW. He studies the land impact of land cover change, and his partner, which I don't remember his name now, studies the water impacts of these changes at this scale of analysis. So I can certainly give you that information.
I want to follow up on something that you said about the brightness of the actual bulbs or fixtures, right? If you found that Port-au-Prince has a third of the brightness in terms of the capacity to illuminate per person that, for example, Santo Domingo has, what difference would that make in your analysis?
Okay, you have to, when you define your threshold, you have to take that into consideration. So I wouldn't compare Haiti with the Dominican Republic with the same threshold. I would need to select a threshold for Haiti, taking that into consideration, and then select a threshold for the Dominican Republic because they're very different. And I feel that we did this in our countries and it worked out because it's similar and we could validate that with the urban population. But in countries that are so different in terms of their development, you need to classify the images in a different way. Well, thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Ay, sorry. Lo siento que no pude contestar tu pregunta, pero puedes ver.
Sobre la política...
Sí, nerviosa, pero...
No, pero